Tesla has been a very interesting story, pretty weak of course. The fundamentals doesn't really seem to look very good, and it has also been a relative weak. But so far it's still holding the range a little bit, but my bias is definitely short. Hey all, I hope that you're doing well. Let's take a look at the stocks that I traded today. Let's take a look at the stock that I had on my watch list, why I had them on my watch list, and let's take a look at how the price action unfolded itself and discuss why I took the entry or why I did not take the entry. Today was the first day I traded live in the chat room instead of Andrew. Andrew is gone for a couple of days, and today, tomorrow, and Friday I'll be standing in for him. So I'd like to thank you all for your support for that. That went great. Let's take a look at FCX. It was the first stock I had on my watch list. And let's take a look at the daily chart. What do we see here? We see here a daily range gap. We see that the price action has been staying like for 2 months in a range. Here like a bottom side and the top side. So the transaction taking place like in this range. And then today we gapped up from it. That could initiate what I call the price discovery process, or perhaps this could attract the buyers. Something happened and it could attract buyers and the stock move up, or perhaps it will attract sellers because the parties who are in here could perhaps decide to take profit and the price action will go down. Or of course the price action could chop, but therefore we're gonna read the price action. So it could be very interesting. We got the daily range. The high of the daily range is here is $40.99. So then we're going to take a look at the price action. I'm going to see what's happened. What do we see in the pre-market? Price action is coming up. It holds to the penny this level of $40.99, what we discussed before, which is the high of the daily range, the high of the pivot. Price action seems to hold there and the buyers getting in. Also, the price action closes at the high of the pre-market. So if you ask me, the chances are higher that the price action will actually go up after the market opened. So our bias is long. Well, what happens if when the market opened? First 3 minutes are strong. However, there's no volume yet. It's a NYSE stock, a New York Stock Exchange. And sometimes the volume comes in only a little bit later. So you have to be careful for that. So the volume comes in the 4th minute. And at that point, we were already too extended after this first minute, after the volume came in, to enter. Then of course we're going to take a look for potential second move for the continuation setup. ORB is the first move, the opening range break, and the continuation setup is the second move. So the second move up here. However, I found that the candles had like a lot of overlap and I didn't really find enough confirmation to find any entry long. In the end, the price actually made the move up. It went all the way to $43. And actually, as we see on the 5-minute chart, we can clearly see that there's like buying pressure here at the low of the range. Buying pressure, buying pressure, buying pressure, and buying pressure. So the price action after the market open moves up, forms a consolidation, and then in the end it made the continuation move. And we can definitely see like the buyers here buying up at the low of the range. So we didn't take any trade in FCX, but the bias was correct. Here we had Zim, another stock. They had actually earnings. Earnings is a great catalyst. What do we see here? We see like the most recent daily range and we gapped down from it. Price action has already been going down a little bit here. I think the price action went up because of the issues in Yemen. Zim is a transport company and I think that volatility caused the price action to go up. And now price action was already weak. We formed here a range and now on earnings we seem to gap down. The low of the range here is this level, or it's actually the pivot, the low of the range, $10.68. And what did I see in the pre-market? In the pre-market, I noticed that the price action was also fighting here around this 10.68. So I was thinking, okay, this could become a short. We got the gap down from the range. Now we got the catalyst. We got the pre-market weak, and perhaps we could take it short. Also a NYSE stock, New York Stock Exchange, and the volume came here only in the 3rd minute. It was actually a very weak candle. Price actually comes up, shoots down. A very weak candle that shows, and the price action staying below this 10.68 level. The issue was that this opening range moved from $11 all the way to $10.30. So a 70-cent move in a $11 stock. That's of course a very big move. You cannot expect that the price action drops another move instantly to $9.50 or something, or $9.60, another 70-cent move. So you have to be very careful for that. However, the minute after the minute where the volume came in, it was again a rejection. Price action came up, came down. And the minute afterwards, so the third minute after the volume came in, price action came to the pre-market low and sold up again. At this point, I clearly felt, okay, the imbalance, even though we're extended to the short side, the imbalance is still towards the sellers. So the sellers still seem to be stronger than the buyers. So I took here my entry and I got my profit here. I didn't want to go to a very big move because the price action was already extended, moved 70 cents. However, it was good for a quick scalp. Price action in the end I went out for my remaining part at break even. And in the end, actually the price action moved way further. So the bias was clearly in the right direction in ZIM. The other trade that I traded today was DLTR, was Dollar Tree. We see here the range, and they also had earnings, and we see the gap down. Price action in the pre-market looked weak, and after the market opened, we see, it looked kind of choppy, but at the same time, there was selling pressure. We formed like the triangle at the low. I didn't really like it. However, it was also a 50-minute opening range, and it felt a little bit too choppy. However, I got triggered in the entry because we had like a very clear bear bar, meaning price action opens and closes all the way at the low of the candle on high volume. So I felt actually, okay, everything together with the selling pressure here, the triangle, the 50-minute ORB, daily range gap, the pre-market price action, okay, I thought I'd take it. Price action indeed made the move. However, because of the chop, I didn't feel convincing and I went out at break even. So I did not lose anything with it, and it made some kind of a move, but so that was my second trade. And in the end, Dollar Tree did not, at least until the screenshot, it just moved sideways. Didn't really do anything special anymore. The other stock on my watch list was Boeing. Boeing was pretty interesting. They have been pretty beaten up in the last days. I actually traded it yesterday and the day before, and today we gapped down again. So this is now called an extended gap because yesterday we gapped down, the day before we gapped down, and the day before we were also weak. So I now prefer to trade it against the direction of the gap. However, in this case, I also didn't really prefer to trade in the direction of the gap because there was not really like a gap, and we would be trading directly into the resistance because we would be trading directly into the yesterday price action. And if there would be the right intraday confirmation, I would be still seeing a potential entry short side. If it would be really confirmed that there's confirmed more weakness. In the pre-market, we seem to stay below this yesterday low. The yesterday low is 183.16, and we seem to stay below it. So perhaps I thought if there's like a lot of intraday confirmation, we could take it short. However, the market opened and we indeed were strong with the extended gap. So in the direction with the gap, but I did not find any I did not find any entry based on how I like to trade. So in the end, Boeing did not give any entry. Another interesting setup was actually Run. Run yesterday, you can see, had a clear bear candle. It opened and it closed all the way at the low of its candle. While the SPY and the Q actually had a very strong day yesterday. So that's something that catches the eye. Also, it closed below the daily range. You could see this, a daily range, and the price action closed below it. It also catches the eye. So I thought perhaps we could find like another, if we see enough intraday confirmation, we find another move down. In the pre-market price action, we seem to also hold below this yesterday low, which is $10.70. And market opened and the price action indeed seemed to stay below $10.70. You see like rejection, 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 rejection. However, there was not a lot of R-vol. The stock did not seem to be really in play, and I didn't want to get tricked, so I did not trade it. However, the price action moved down a lot later on the day, and so Run continued its weakness that we noticed today, that the price action had the day before. However, I did not trade it because there was not enough volume confirmation how I like to trade it. Another one was Baidu. Baidu had both an extended gap. You see, like it gapped up here, it gapped up here, and it gapped up again. But it also was holding above this. You could see perhaps we did this as a daily range, and it's a little bit not straight here, and it seemed to hold below the high of this. If you consider this a daily range, if you consider this a daily range, you could see that the price action was in the pre-market holding below it. So I thought, okay, if it shows clear confirmation to the short side, I could take it short, and because of the extended gap, or if it clearly holds above this daily range, you could also consider it for a long. However, market opened and we saw indeed the strength, but there was a lot of overlap and I did not see any clear imbalance to take it to the long side. Finally, there was Tesla. Tesla has been a very interesting story lately. Pretty weak, of course. The fundamentals doesn't really seem to look very good. And it has also been a relative weak. But so far, it's still holding the range a little bit. But my bias is definitely usually short. However, the price action was at the yesterday low. So it could also show perhaps some strength after the open. Because at the low of the range, could also attract buyers. So I was just curious what Tesla was going to do, and the pre-market was weak. When the market opened, we showed some strength, then continued weakness, but I did not see any entry in it anymore. So I hope you enjoyed this recap. If you got any questions, you can always send me a mail at lenny@pcapitaltrading.com. Tomorrow and Friday, I'll also be trading live in the trade room because Andrew is gone for a couple of days, and we stay in touch. See you soon again.